Hey there, this is Fabi. I am going to be creating this video because I saw Seb had created his own story, and I thought that was a really great idea because when I started recording my videos, I didn't think of a chronicle way of doing these things, and I just went with it, and it was sort of like an intuition, and I just ran for it, got up from my bed and did it. And I figure his idea was great because we have to have a starting point. So, as you notice on my videos a lot, I quote and I giggle and I will talk to my hands, talk with my hands, and I do this because I am recently finding all these labels, and I don't like labels, okay? I don't like what they represent. I don't like conforming and categorizing and grouping and stereotyping. I don't like that. However, I understand that for the sake of those out there who are still trying to figure things out and awaken, that they need some sort of key words in where they can relate to others. So for their sake, I am going to be using the labels as part of my videos, etc. So we're going to be calling my story as a Starseed Indigo Earth Angel reincarnation. Okay? I was born in Peru. As I mentioned to you in other videos, I was overwhelmed and scared. Okay? However, I have a clear memory of when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I remember being so happy, and just a recurring memory that I have had when I was young where I wanted to be a nun and I just wanted world peace. There was nothing more that I wanted other than world peace. And of course, eventually I forgot that because I had to deal with living in this earth and conforming to what I was being told that I had to do in a way, and I just forgot. I let go of certain things, especially since I didn't know how to handle everything that I was so highly sensitive to as a child. So I've been reading a lot, and I've been finding a lot more characteristics on things that I didn't cover before. And one of the things is, when I mentioned I was more mature, I meant it because I always taught my own lessons, okay? I always felt like my parents didn't really have to interact with me much in the punishment sense, because even before they got to me to have the conversations, I had already processed everything, and I had already been hard on myself for the things, whatever it is that I did. I also have had vivid dreams, and I say dreams because I don't think they're dreams. I believe they are messages. They're messages from different dimensions and different realms that are a way of communicating with us here. Okay? I also have learned that a lot of people became aware of things when they had near-death experiences. Now, I have never had a near-death experiences, but however, I did have, I guess it could be a near-death experience because I was born prematurely. I was born prematurely in the early 80s, back in Peru, obviously, and you know, that was a big deal. Apparently, I'm told that it was thanks to my family that took shifts to feed me that I guess I survived, because they took the time to feed me with a bottle dropper, you know, like a medicine dropper, because I didn't have the ability to suck. I couldn't eat myself, so they had to feed me with a little medicine dropper and just take their time in order to nourish me. I was born with paper thin nails. I was told that my eyelids were translucent, and you know, so I guess that could be my near-death experience link and why I was so aware of things as a child, as growing up. I was highly sensitive and all this, so I'm thinking that might be it. Let's see, aside from all the intuitive psychic abilities that I have covered in other videos, I also had a radar of knowing when people were BSing, okay? Whether it was in person, whether it was over the phone, whether it was in writing, I could hear, see the tone of people, and I could feel them, and I knew when they were hiding their emotions and when they weren't being truthful. So I have always had that radar in me where I can know where people are BSing me and I can see through them. And as part of that, I have always been very truthful. I have always been told I'm blunt. Even as an adult now, sometimes I'm told, oh, you shouldn't have said that. And I think, why not? The only way people are going to learn and be aware and have realization is if you tell them the truth. It is what it is. So why do I have to hide it? Why do I have to sugarcoat things just for your sake? No. I believe in being truthful, whether it's accepted in society or not. Especially now that I'm speaking my truth. So, in this aspect, I mean, I always did it in other aspects. Let's see. I also, when I was a child, my parents said that they often had to check my crib because I wasn't making any noises. Therefore, they were afraid that I had died. And I realize now that, you know what, I probably didn't want to speak to anyone because it wasn't really that important to communicate verbally, I actually had to go to speech therapy as a child because I couldn't roll my R's. And that's a huge deal in Spanish language. But, so that's part of what I had to do as a child. I also found myself stargazing and just being content and having inner peace. And not so much in Peru because, as I mentioned before, I was really afraid of darkness when it came, the part of the day, because as a child I didn't know how to deal with everything that was going on around me and with me. And so the nightfall was really quite scary for me. But when we moved to the United States, again, I had already blocked that part of having visitors and things like that. So I enjoyed stargazing, okay? And I remember coming home at any time and just looking up and feeling happy and content and feeling like for that split second where I was looking up at the sky, I was understood and I was comfortable and I was at peace, and I didn't have to deal with feeling so lost. So another thing is that I've been always been empathetic, okay? I know people's hidden emotions, like I mentioned, and so in a sense I'm also been an emotional sponge, because then I didn't know how to protect myself, how to block all these emotions that were just filtering through all these people. And then on top of that, I had my own emotions that I was dealing with, because obviously I never told anyone anything. So I had a lot going on as part of emotions, and just bundling it up and over again, and it was exhausting. And it wasn't until last year that I was guided to a spiritual holistic healer, and she helped me untangle my emotions. That was basically what we did on all of our sessions. We from day one that I met her, I was crying because I had the biggest difficulty by that time that I met her, when I was 27, and I had spent my entire life not communicating with anyone. So I didn't know how to communicate without breaking apart, because it was so difficult for me to express myself. And so, you know, until about December that we did our last session, this is basically what we worked on, just untangling my emotions, healing from the inside out. And it was a blessing, because I am very, very thankful that I was guided to her, because I know that if I hadn't learned how to untangle my emotions, I might still be that lost and that confused and that overwhelmed and that depressed, because at that point I had hit rock bottom. And so I'm always very thankful to her for that. But and to my guides, because, and to myself, because I listened. But as part of being empathetic, I also have always cared for things that other humans don't, that they don't think twice about their actions. For example, I was hanging out with friends and acquaintances, and they found baby rats, a nest of baby rats in their house. And I don't know where their mama was, but they were all alone. And you know, because the way society has labeled these poor animals as filthy, carrying disease, they didn't want these baby rats to spread in their home. And to me, it bothered me, because I thought, you know what, yes, they could carry disease. However, a human can also carry diseases, okay? Just because they're insignificant to you doesn't mean you have the right to destroy them. And this is a very vivid memory I have. And I remember, even now, I could see the event, and I could remember the pain, and I was so sad, and I was filled with sadness, because I could hear the babies cry because they were dying, because they were killing them, because they didn't think much of them. And I was overwhelmed, and I was so sad, and I was crying. And I remember them making fun of me, because to them I was just overly sensitive, and to me it's things that I have always dealt with. I am the type of person that takes out the spider outside before hurting her. I don't kill animals. I don't mistreat nature. And I think that you have to respect everything in this universe, because we are all part of each other, even nature, even the dirt and the soil that we walk on. So this has always been a very difficult lesson for me in this lifetime, to relate to people, because I can't, because they do not respect their surroundings as they should. And so I will continue this story in the next video. Thank you.